Hey, I'm live. That's cool. Well, now that we got somebody here, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing started. Welcome to the Wood Metal Workshop, or basement, or whatever we are tonight. The first episode of Tuesday Night Hangout. I'm going to try to do this every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Central Time. Just come in, hang out, talk a little bit, share some advice, answer some questions, whatever happens to come up. So it looks like we got 2 people in here now besides me. So welcome. No real topic tonight. I was going to talk a little bit about FabTech, some more about FabTech. The video came out on Saturday, and I thought it was a fun trip. Real fun trip. So really ran into information overload, though. I was too much stuff going on, too much information, just really hard to keep track of everything and everybody. But went ahead, and it was a fun time anyways. Got to talk to myself, I guess, because nobody else is here right at the moment. Talked to Jimmy DeResta for a little while, and Jody from Welding Tips and Tricks, and Zach from ZH Metal Fab, and just said hello to April Wilkinson. Didn't really talk to her at all. Guys in the booth, but got lots of information on all kinds of different products. A bad connection warning, and it seems to be buffering a lot. I got some new lights in here, so lighting's a little bit better. So I guess we'll just kind of hang out and see if anybody comes in, has any questions, or wants to talk about anything. Meanwhile, I'll just check my email. Oh, somebody else is here. Welcome. Oh, a couple people. So, no real topic tonight. Just hanging out. Going to talk a little bit about whatever. So, go ahead and pop some questions, comments, concerns, whatever up there. Grab yourself your beverage of choice and kind of kick back and relax. Figured with all the warning I gave of several hours, might be a few more people here right at the beginning, but seems to be running a little slow tonight. So I did fix the lighting, so the live stream's a little bit better. You can actually see me this time. At least I can see me on the computer, so I'm assuming you guys can see me and hear me as well. I can't turn the sound down on the computer, otherwise I get really massive feedback. So I have no idea if the sound's working or not. I haven't had a problem with the sound in the past, so I'm assuming it's still good. Suppose I could ramble on here for a while about the world in general. Finally going to get back out to the shop tomorrow. Get my son's truck, finish that up, get that out of the shop, and get back to work on the belt grinder and a few other projects that are piling up. And have a couple of days this week out there. Not nearly as much as usual, but at least it's something. Shop time is shop time. You got to make the best of it. And back to just me again. This live stream thing really doesn't work unless there's other people here. Unless I just want to talk to myself. And when I talk to myself, I do it in my head, not out loud. So back to checking email. Check the threads over on Garage Journal here and see if anything interesting has popped up in the last few hours. All right, there's a thread over here. Says title of the threads: "Wow, this guy has some serious dedication," and it's link to a YouTube video of a guy building a anvil. I'll go ahead and when this video gets posted. All right, guys, we're back. Wife came home and called me, told me she's home. So anyhow, back to the Garage Journal here. So, guy built the anvil out of chunks of steel, welded it all together. Did a great job, if you ask me. And a lot of guys on the Garage Journal said, way too much work. Could have just gone and bought one for what he's got time and materials invested in it. And here's my response. I really feel sorry for some of you. There's a joy in building and creating that you're missing out on. I enjoy the process of building no matter what it is, even if I can buy the same thing for 1/3 the cost. kudos to the man for building and sharing it on YouTube. So it's my whole life philosophy is that, you have to create, in some way. Some people, my wife knits and paints, and as you guys know, I build crap. It doesn't make a difference what it is. It could be something to make the shop more useful, or it could be something for a client. That's where I get my joy in life, is going ahead and building stuff with my hands. And I really enjoy that. The whole process of building, from design and material acquisition to building it. And it really doesn't make a difference if it costs me more than it would cost me to buy it. That's not the point. The point is that get shop stuff. And I've still got a bad connection. Maybe but anyhow, so exercise your mind. It's really easy to exercise your credit card. Kind of more difficult to exercise your mind and your body and your hands and your skills. And there's another guy on Garage Journal. His screen name is Royce. If you want to jump over there and check out any of his searches, his username, he builds some of the most incredible stands for vices and grinders out of found items, and not light found items, heavy found items. And he does just an incredibly good job. They're works of art. They're not just posts to set something on. They're works of art. Half of them I'd put in my living room. If they were the right proportions, end tables or maybe a plant stand or something. They're just gorgeous. And he posted up a project that he had done several years ago, and he used an oxyacetylene torch to make a jigsaw puzzle for his mother for Christmas. And just incredible, the fine detail work on that. And he gets it, it's the process, and the skill. And one of the things that I said in my reply was that I used to be really good with the cutting torch. Not that good, but really good, because I did it a lot. Just about every day I was cutting something with the torch, because it was my main source of cutting materials. It was either that or an abrasive saw or a grinder. So the torch was number one. And I was pretty darn good with it. I can make some good parts with it. Over the last 25 years, since I've added so many different ways to cut stuff, I'm not as good with the torch anymore. That skill has left me. I can still cut with a torch, but I can't, not nearly as accurately. I used to be able to freehand straight cuts, and can't do that anymore. Now I need a straight edge. Part of that might be the amount of Mountain Dew that I put in my body, but it's a skill, and it needs to be practiced, and it needs to be exercised so you can continue to have that skill, just like anything else. I don't know about some of you, but I do math problems in my head while driving, just to keep my math skills somewhat available to me. And from some stuff I've read, that doing math in your head also helps ward off dementia or Alzheimer's. Exercising it. So exercise your brain, exercise your body, which I need to do more of. But my back issues, some of you know about my back issues, and it's have been going on for about 5 years now, and constant back pain. So it's some days I'm not capable of exercising and doing as much as I used to do. I wish I was. I've put on about 30 pounds in that 5 years. I'd really like to get rid of it, but to get rid of it, I'd have to cut out the Mountain Dew and exercise more. And I can't exercise, and good Lord, I don't know what I'd do without caffeine. So I actually went 2 months a couple years ago, before my back issues. Went 2 months without any caffeine. And they say, oh, you're going to feel so much better, and you have so much more energy. And no, I felt the same. For that 2 months, I drank nothing but fruit juice and water. So didn't even have non-caffeinated, carbonated beverages. Just fruit juice and water is what I went for. So, all right. So I'm still talking to myself, evidently. There was somebody here for a few minutes, but they didn't say anything. Been going for 17 minutes now. 16 and a half minutes. So, somebody's back. We got somebody back in here. Hello, somebody. Yeah. This works better if people punch stuff into the chat window. So, got any questions, comments, concerns, anything? Go ahead and type it in, and I'll see it, and we can talk about it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep rambling about stuff. So, if you want to just listen to me ramble, that's okay too. But it does work better if I have interaction with other people. Like I mentioned earlier that I don't, when I talk to myself, I usually don't do it out loud. I do it in my head, because otherwise you look weird. So, and God forbid I start singing. I might just destroy YouTube as a whole if I started singing. So, still no comments. What I've been talking about is no real topic tonight, but keeping those skills active. Hey, Robert, a reason not to use wood? I know lots of guys for a socket organizer, and I did it as well before I bought the 2x diameter of this. Works really good. If you want to get really fancy, you can get some route a groove on the bottom and mount magnetic strips in there, and they hold onto them pretty good too. One of my friends did that. He used, I think, some 1-inch board and routed a groove under each row of sockets and put a magnetic strip in there, and then drilled the holes in the top, not all the way through, just down to, so there's 1/8 of an inch of wood left or whatever between the two, and held onto his sockets really well. So wood's the only problem with wood is it absorbs, so get dirty. Plastic's a lot easier to clean. So, yeah, exercising your skills. That's something that everybody should do, and it's good for the mind and the body and the soul. The whole toolbox, or just like tool sorters in wood. Cool. I'd like to see that. Because I have 12-inch deep drawers on the upper chests on mine, I don't have a whole lot of selection for wrench organizers, and the ones that I've got, I actually really don't care for. So, I'd like to see something a little different. I've seen all kinds of stuff used, and just haven't done anything myself because I've been busy on other projects. But I'll love to see some more good ideas. If you do that, go ahead and make a video of it and post it up and link it to me. Do is comment one of my videos that you did it and put the link in there, and I'll be sure to check it out. So it's kind of strange in northern Minnesota today. Everything's turned to mud again. We got a warm day, and at least at our house, we're about 3 blocks from Lake Superior, and so this time of year the water isn't cold yet. So that's okay, Robert. It happens to me all the time. So at least when I'm on Wi-Fi. Yeah, so I said if you missed it, go ahead and make a video of it when you get it done, or the process, and post it up, and make sure you link it to the comment on one of my videos so I can see it. Oh, always nice to see new, innovative tools. Yeah. Unless you have a tool collection like mine, where I'd have nothing but pegboard if I tried to hang everything up. Got a few too many tools. I seem to have an issue. It's a good issue. Nice having the right tool for the right job. Well, there's nothing wrong with buying tools to do a job. In the end, almost always, it'll save you money at some point. Tool might be more expensive than you could have bought the thing for. Plus, you get the enjoyment of doing the project, and like I said before, you get to exercise those skills or learn a new skill. That's even better. Tools drive that. Getting tools in your hands and getting out and doing stuff is a joy. Creating something, especially creating something from scratch. It's always, well, it's the, after my kids and family, it's the joy in my life is building stuff. So and sometimes I bite off a little more than I can chew, but not very often. What tools are you going to need to do the job? Tool shopping is always is fun for me as well. Something I really enjoy. I like flea markets and estate sales and auctions, and I don't really like shopping for new tools that much. I find it somewhat frustrating. I prefer to have tool finds and from different places, antique stores, pawn shops, any place that has quality used tools is fun to go in and poke around a lot and really enjoy yourself. I need to do a video on my machinist measuring tools. And I found those in a pawn shop in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And there were a couple of tools that I was interested in, but they wanted to sell the whole set. There's a couple of good videos on YouTube for making a small belt grinder using an angle grinder. What brand toolbox? That's I don't have many old toolboxes left. Most of my old ones have gone away. I've got well, nothing that old. My toolboxes, I've got I think one box left from its late 50s Craftsman upper chest that I have in storage. and that's the then I have my dad's hip top carpenter's tool craftsman toolbox that I rescued after he passed away, or just before he passed away. Come to think of it, I grabbed that because he was gonna thinking about selling it. I said, "No way, you're selling that." I grabbed it, and it's up on the shelf in the shop, waiting for a light redo. I think I'm gonna just clean it up and spray it with clear, and actually pass it to my youngest son so he can have a toolbox and start storing some of his tools. I've got all my, or not all, but a good chunk of my taps and dies in a 1940s Gerstner that I picked up at an auction. Got a nice use for it. I don't want to overload it. When I got it, it was so overloaded that it needed repair. I had to glue some of the dovetails back together and replace a few parts, but Gerstner still had the parts, and they more than willingly sold them to me. Yeah. Now my main boxes are Harbor Freight. Yeah, you've probably seen in my videos. The two main lowers are Harbor Freight, because right now I think those Harbor Freight 44-inch boxes are the best bang for the buck out there. Even though I understand they just raised the price a little bit. But that's just the way the world goes. Prices go up, they never go back down. What brand's the 40s? Craftsman box or? Oh, there's all kinds of stuff wrong with Harbor Freight, Robert. But nothing that I'm overly concerned about. I always buy used American if I can, but if I'm buying new, well, Harbor Freight's right in that list. I talked about that before, is that, you know what? Buy the tool you can afford right now rather than waiting and waiting for a tool that, you might never find. Buy the tool, get the job done. You can always sell it and upgrade later. Or if it breaks, you can upgrade later. But buy the tool you can afford right now to get the job done. Ooh, and Equipto. They made some really cool stuff. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do with the wood organizers. Just, like I said, I can always use organizers, and I've discovered that what most people can do with wood, I can do in metal. So, or a combination thereof. I don't know if you've watched any of the videos from FabTech that anybody put out, but I got to see all those projects at the Lincoln booth up close and in person, and so really Zach from ZH Fabrications, I think, and Doug from RetroWeld are really the only two people who are actually welders. Everybody else is kind of a maker or an artist, and no weld prep. Of course, they didn't allow them to have grinders, which I thought that was odd that they didn't plan ahead. So you're going to be welding stuff. You're going to have to do weld prep. you're going to need grinders. They did find April a Dremel tool to take down a tack weld that was in her way. That must have been a pain in the butt. So, laser cut flooring. What kind of flooring? So I said to fill some time here tonight, I'd probably talk a little bit about more about FabTech. I already mentioned the people that I actually find for people watching this later, Robert said he's more of a metal worker, so this will be new to him, making some toolbox dividers and wrench racks and socket racks out of wood. And I find wet metal to be much more forgiving. I've spent a lot of time working in wood. I've got a pretty decent set, and but I prefer working in metal. But so I find it to be a little more forgiving. You make a bad cut in steel, you can usually fix it. You make a bad cut in wood, you get a new piece of wood. So, we got a third person here. Hi, third person. Just kind of hanging out, chatting, and talking about what's going on, sharing some tips and tricks and stuff. So join in. That depends on the kind of wood. I've bought some wood that's way more expensive than steel. I had to get some, I think it was bloodwood for an inlay on a project I was doing for a customer. And that's what they wanted. They had a sample and they knew exactly what they wanted. And good Lord, that stuff was expensive. Somebody also mentioned to me that tools for working wood are less expensive. And I don't know, my table saw cost more as much as my main welder. And that doesn't even count the hand tools. I know I've got a plane at the shop, hand plane, that I think it was over $300 when I bought it 20 years ago. So people just think that working wood is cheaper. Granted, you can get by with much cheaper tools, just like you can metalworking. You can get by with really inexpensive stuff. But wood, I think, because it's less forgiving, that you need better tools to work wood than you do to work metal. I know the drill bits, you can buy cheap spade bits, and they do an okay job drilling a hole, but it's not really a finish hole. You want a finish hole, then you got to step up to a Forstner bit, and the cheap Forstner bits don't work. They leave rough edges too and tear out. So then you got to buy expensive Forstner bits. True. I said you can get by with cheaper tools. When I bought my table saw, I was doing a lot of custom cabinetry for people, and So I bought a big 5 horsepower Grizzly cabinet saw. So, and it does because of the materials that I was using and the accuracy I needed and the production capability. I needed to go with a higher quality saw, and I couldn't find anything used that fit my budget and timetable. That was another case of buy the tool you can afford right now that'll do the job, and you can worry about updating it or replacing it later. But I have no urge to get rid of that saw. It's kind of a funny story about that saw. I got it in the shop. It weighs 900 pounds. Delivery truck cannot get to the shop. So anytime I need anything big delivered, coming from a trucking company, I usually have to go to their terminal and pick it up because they don't have pickup trucks with with trailers for deliveries. Yep, that's the way to get it. Like I said, I looked for a used one local and could not find anything. So I got that table saw out to the shop and got it put together and wired it up. And every time I'd start the saw, I'd brown out the entire neighborhood. Granted, the neighborhood's not that big. There's 3 cabins off that transformer, three places. So my place and 2 neighbors. But I'd brown out the neighbors every time that I fired up the table saw. So I had to get a hold of the power company, and they had to come put in a bigger transformer to handle my table saw. There's lots of good deals out there on equipment if you can move it. The big old stuff, you can if you can move it, and a lot of it's 3 phase. So if you can, take care of 3 phase or rotary phase converter or VFD to run it, then you get some really good deals because most people don't even know that you can convert single phase into 3 phase these days. I asked if you have 3 phase power because I'd love to have it, but when I built the shop in 2006, 2007, it would have cost me $12,000 to have 3 phase installed, and I think it was a minimum of $75 a month electric, um, which wouldn't have been that big of a deal. I would have been on a different power company, so I would have been on Minnesota Power versus I can't even remember the name of my power company now. But so 3 phase would be nice. It just wasn't in the cards. So I've got 200 amps of single phase, which is plenty for a 1.5 man shop. Yeah, I know very little about 3 phase. I've never really had to deal with it other than hooking up my machines, and I just make sure that they're wired for 208 or 240 and motors, and hook them up to the VFD or the rotary phase converter and fire them up. So it's above my pay grade to deal with that stuff. Kudos to the guys who know how to do that for their own equipment. All I know is you need 3 wires and a ground. What is that? 460 volts then coming in on the 3 phase, or is it 240 or 230? 230 on 3 phase. This could be 208 too, but I doubt it. Not at 600 amps. Oh, okay. Well, you're lucky. It's there if you decide you ever need it. Like I said, I don't have that choice. I got VFD rotary phase converter or a 3-phase generator, and I'm not running a generator. Used to have a 3-phase generator, an old surplus Army generator that never got running that well. And somebody else wanted it, so I let that one go away. I'm gonna have to do something about that. Live in a lumber yard, so even people don't want to do. I've made a lot of nice furniture out of scraps, which is what anybody else would call them, pallet wood and slab wood for fireplace, for wood stove, and I ended up cutting up a lot of that, resawing it on the bandsaw, and making decent out of it for different projects. Well, we've been going for 45 minutes here. I think I'm gonna cut this off for tonight. I need to go talk to the wife, but since she's home from work, and do this again next Tuesday, 9 p.m. And I'll toss that link to that Vice build or Anvil build in the description when this is up and live. Thanks for joining, Robert. Thanks for chatting with me. And hopefully we'll see you again next week. All right, guys. Catch you later.